Okay. What is up, YouTube? I am Taylor. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel, or whatever. I don't know. Might be your first time here. I doubt it, but if it is, hi. How you doing? Hope your day's going well. Yeah, this is my stack of comics here this week. It's the week of December 15th, 2021. I'm going to drop this video on the 16th, and I'm feeling refreshed and happy, folks, because for a while there, I was having this sort of self-imposed deadline where I had to get the video up by Wednesday night, and no matter what, I was reading all these comics, and I was like, put this pressure on myself to read sometimes a fairly large stack of books in a fairly short amount of time, and it wasn't going well. I was cranky. I was feeling it. I was just kind of moody, and I was thinking all these books sucked. So yeah, I kind of stopped that. And it may affect the views, it may affect the channel a bit, but I don't care. It's gonna make me a happier, kinder, nicer comic book reviewer, right? Maybe, kind of. Anyways, the new plan is to drop the book, drop their reviews on Thursday night, but we'll see. If I'm feeling stressed, I'm just gonna keep pushing it out because reading should be enjoyable. You should like it. You should. This is the escape from the doldrums of the real world, right? Like, you read comics for fun, and it wasn't fun for me all the time, and so I'm not gonna force myself to read a bunch of shit when I'm not feeling it. So I'm just gonna read it as it comes to, as the mood strikes me. Now I'm still gonna have a bit of discipline. I'm still gonna try to get these videos out in a timely manner, but I'm not gonna stress out if I don't get them done. Everything done on a certain schedule, because it just was driving me bonkers. So that said, let's get into this week's comics. They're all great. Review over. I'm happy. Okay. Not really. Let's start with this hunk of garbage. We're doing worst to best, as always. Cloaked, #1 from Dark Horse by Mike Richardson and Jordi Armengol. All right, yeah, so this is Batman with guns. It's a weird one. It's okay, I guess, maybe. Like, fine minus. There's not much new to this, really. It's just like if Batman were a real bastard with guns and like there's a private eye trying to figure out who it is. And yeah, the artwork is bizarre. The artist Jordy seems to hate drawn eyes, so they're all blacked out, and it's just, except for one panel in the book where there's actual eyeballs, and it's just weird. And the story itself, it's just kind of, it doesn't feel like there's anything new here. It just sort of feels like a retread of a lot of ideas, and it feels like it wants to be a Batman book and wants to tell a story of a Batman and Robin from a private eye perspective without actually doing that, because of licensing and it's on Dark Horse. So I don't know. It didn't do much for me. I'm not going to keep reading this one. I picked it up. I don't know. I add things to the pull list sometimes where I like read the solicits. I'm like, that sounds interesting, and it sounded interesting. It's just not. All right, speaking of which, we have Hecates. I don't know how to pronounce it. Words are hard. Names are hard. Language is made up, people. Hecates Will, #1. I think the name might have a double meaning, like willpower and last will and testament, possibly, although that's not said in here. There's going to be some minor spoilers, by the way, through these reviews. This is all by Iolanda Zanfardino, and they do all the heavy lifting on this book. I'm not sure of their gender or their pronouns, so I'm just going to keep saying they as long as I remember. It's a strange one, too. It's sort of a street artist. Hecates, I don't know. And it's an alter ego of this lady here, who's also a costume designer and trying to give up being a street artist, and sort of like the Banksy-ish, like, mysterious messages and graffiti with a purpose kind of thing. It just suffers from the crime of being horribly boring. Like, it doesn't, nothing in this issue really grabbed me, and like the color palette choice is very bizarre. Like, this is like the most contrast there is in the entire book. It's on the cover. It's not a bad cover. The cover actually is kind of interesting, but like, let me see here. I'm actually going to pull this open because like, it is just such a weird choice to me to like have this sort of like light fruity like palette, and it's this duotone color throughout. Other than like a possible other than this for the graffiti element, and nope, wrong finger. Sorry. Other than that, it's just really this weird dreamlike art that doesn't fit the sort of slice of life story that they're telling. And I don't know. It might be okay in trade paperback. There's enough flaws here that I'm just not going to get into it though. And I probably won't even pick it up on trade. The lettering is all computer generated, and it's just kind of glaringly stuck out to me as like hard to read in some places, and or just not effective. And I get it. Not if you're doing a solo book. I mean, this is a Herculean effort to put out a comic book by oneself, and doing the coloring, do the lettering, do the writing, do all of it. You're not going to be great at all of it, and the lettering suffers a bit in here. I think it would have benefited a lot from having a separate letterer, and I think it would have benefited a lot from having somebody else go over the artwork a little bit and like do a bit of like heavier, more inking, for lack of a better word. Even though I think this is all done digitally, it's just kind of And honestly, the story. It's not horrible. It's just there wasn't anything in here to hook me. So, all right. Speaking of books that didn't hook me and I'm done with, we've got a couple of them coming up next. Berserker #6. I still like the art. It reminds me of like Frank Miller and Klaus Johnson, and like it's sort of like the Daredevil era back in the day and stuff. And it's still sort of telling the story of the Berserker. Man that can't die and is violent and angry. It's just nothing new. Is from issue 1 to issue 6, no new real world revelation. Like nothing new's come out of this. It's just a non-story. It's just okay, more badness, more violence, more whatever. You're not learning anything else about the character. You're not learning any great grand secrets, and the plot really isn't progressing. 6 issues in out of 12, and it's just like this sort of glacial pacing, or not even. It's just sort of like retreading of everything from one issue to the next, and I am done. I will watch the movie. I will praise Keanu in the theaters as he John Wicks the way out of crap and stuff, and probably watch the animated thing too. But I don't give a shit about this comic anymore. I tried. I mean, it's a cool cover, right? But I just don't care. You lost me. Like you gotta progress this thing a bit. You gotta like do something with it. Maybe it'll be better in trade, but like I don't know, 12 issues of this is it's a slog. And speaking of which, I'm done with this one too. This is probably one of the better issues of the series, but I don't care. This book is not about the Joker. I mean, it's about how the Joker affects Jim Gordon's life. We get it. I mean, it's 10 issues in. It's been that way for 10 issues. And this actually adds a little bit. It's sort of like what happens after Joker paralyzes Barbara Gordon and like the consequences after. It's one of those like flashback episodes that don't progress the main plot, although the main plot was going goddamn nowhere either. And the art by Frank Avila is not bad. And the story is actually one of the better ones. It's sort of like the psychological impact the Joker has on the people around him. And like the intended sort of effect of like the Joker's chaos and the fear and that. But I don't care anymore. I mean, you got to bring something more to the table, and you got to just like have this book sort of go somewhere. And I gave it 10 issues. No more. And there's a backup story with Punchline. That's again, I don't give a shit. I can't care about that character, and it's also that character's not doing anything new either. Like it's just stop it. I don't see the point of this one. All right. This is. Let me see here. Okay. You know what? I'm going to rearrange these a little. Yeah, this is going to come down to here. This is the last issue of this Campisi the Dragon Incident. This is the finale of this limited series by James Patrick, who also did the Kaiju score, which makes a lot of sense. And because it's the same sort of thematic thing as you take a giant monster and you put them in the quote unquote real world, right? And that's what this is. It's just kind of hang on, I keep getting all right. Sorry. It's a solid ending. It makes sense if you read the series. It's just a fixer, a mob guy, has to try and solve what's going to happen because a dragon's entering the neighborhood and threatening to kill everybody, right? And so that's the setup to the whole book. And this is like the fixer dealing with it and the resolution of it all. And it is a solid resolution. It's just the art by Marco Liccardi is very stylized, and I'm okay with that, right? But what I'm not okay with is it's unclear. There are panels where you just have no idea what is going on in the panel. And like they are key panels where you're like, you need the clarity to tell the story, and it's just not there. It gets too stylized, too abstracted, and it's just too hard to tell what's going on. And for that reason, it's kind of sinks kind of low. It sinks kind of low on the list. It's decent. It's not horrible, but it's just, and I actually don't even mind the stylistic elements of the art, but it just doesn't tell a clear story, and that's a cardinal sin in comics. You have to have clarity when each panel matters, and you have, especially the panels that are essential panels to the story. You can have filler panels and stuff. You can have time progression and through panels that don't necessarily aren't key panels, but like when your key panels are muddy and you just don't know what the hell's going on, yeah, the book suffers because of that. So, all right, next. Oh yeah, we're gonna do this one. This is just ridiculous. My Date with Monsters, #2. This is such a stupid premise, but I actually kind of like this book. There's a lady that needs to fall in love in order to stop monsters from coming into this world, and so people can start dreaming again. Right now, if people dream, monsters can enter the world through dreams and take over things. And there's also this sort of good dream eating monster that helps. And like the army is trying to like put together all these recruits to help this to date this lady, and she's going on awful dates, and like her daughter's getting threatened by monsters. It's a mess. Like it shouldn't work. Like this should be on my drop list, but it's intriguing enough that I'm keeping up with it. It has some nuggets here where you're like, maybe something good will come of this. Maybe it'll be a disaster. It works better than it should. It's just it's such a bizarre, stupid idea, but I'm kind of along for it. So my Date with Monsters #2. All right, next we have Conan the Barbarian, the Facsimile Edition, #1. I've never read any Conan the Barbarian, right? I know the character, and I've seen the movies, and I've like the Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I'm like, well, I'll pick this up because I can't afford the first one, and I really do love this cover, like the Barry Windsor Smith cover, fantastic. And like, I was like, oh, I'll pick it up. It's okay. It sort of plops in the middle of a forgettable Conan adventure, and like lots of like third party exposition where like the omniscient narrator or omnipotent narrator that knows all, sees all, and like sort of explaining the story as it happens. It kind of sort of fits the fantasy of the time, I guess. And you do kind of learn a little bit of nuggets of Conan, but and you see some nuggets also of like Barry Windsor Smith talent and stuff, but it's not Barry in his final form. It's sort of like if you're a Pokemon, you'd be the little wussy one. I don't know. I don't play Pokemon or watch Pokemon, but like, you see the nuggets of where this is going, and I might actually read this on digital, just at least a few issues to see if it progresses and how it goes. It's just not like a super engaging, super gripping first issue to a series, and for being a facsimile, they did not bother to like recolor any of it or anything. They just sort of took what I believe is they took the original color plates and put it on coated paper, so it looks all very bright and very garish. Whereas on new produced print, the colors would have been dulled out and like more fitting, I think. But like since they just plopped it on like today's coated stock, it looks kind of awful coloring wise. I mean, the colors are just a nightmarish like brightness, and you don't get that sort of pulpy goodness you would get back in the day. So it's okay, it's fine. Let's see here. How are we doing? Yeah, well, we're gonna shift around. We're shifting around a few more things, folks, but I think I've got the order sorted. Next, Batman the Imposter #3. This is a gorgeous book. Andrea Sorrentino's art. There's another Andrea Sorrentino issue in here. Moody and great, and reminds me of, well, what I believe is going to be the sort of aesthetic of the Batman movie with Matt Reeves, with What's His Nuts from Twilight as Batman. And the sort of a grittier take on Batman was not everything super high tech, and not, this is a fallible Batman, like that could get shot and hurt and everything else, and trying to figure out an imposter Batman, right? That's killing people. It's the issue is it sort of telegraphs the ending. Like you read this in and you're like 30 pages in, I'm like, oh, that's the imposter Batman, and you're like, no, that's probably not going to be the imposter Batman, right? It's got to be a red herring. It's not a red herring. That's the imposter Batman. Now that said, the Sorrentino's art and Jordi Bellaire's caroling almost make it strong enough to carry this through. It's just kind of that reveal is a lot of a letdown, It's an interesting enough world that Mattson Tomlin writes and stuff, and like it's an interesting enough take on Batman that I would probably continue the series if it were if it were to keep going. It's just kind of because of Sorrentino's art, because of like they work well together, and like I do enjoy the like sort of more street level Batman that's not the all powerful like I'm smarter than everybody in the room. This is like Batman Year One kind of. Which is I think is an enjoyable version of Batman. Like I like that idea better than now the Batman who is like files and everybody plans for everything and like contingencies in place. This is the Batman figuring things out. But other than that, it's just that main plot doesn't work that great. It's not it's a disappointing reveal. So that's why that we're in the middle of the stack today. All right. Next we have regarding the matter of Oswald's body. Okay, this is Chris Cantwell with art by Casa Languida. Sure. This is like conspiracy theory in Dallas and killing of Kennedy and a band of misfits put together to like do something with Oswald's body. We're not entirely sure what's going on yet. You're getting there. This is like it's a mini series and like it's playing around with the idea of the conspiracy of Kennedy's assassination and Oswald and everything like that. And it's sort of playing around with the idea that Oswald's not in Oswald's grave, and these band of misfits are like on the sort of side of things, trying to help influence events that they or are being told they're being directed to influence events, and they don't really know what the hell's going on. And so they're the patsies, like misfit patsies that are part of this. It's enjoyable enough. It probably you could probably trade weight this one out. Honestly, it's not gonna. Like there's nothing like issue to issue that's going to be strong enough to like make you have to pick up each issue, and so I'm probably going to trade weight this from here on out as well. I like it. I think it's probably a fine plus, like 8.5, like 7.5 maybe out of the 9.8 super. Who the hell thought of a 9.8 scale? It's just a stupid ass scale. But anyways, it's regarding the matter of Oswald's body, not bad. All right, next we have. Hang on, how many of these left? Yeah, we're gonna do this order. We're gonna do this order, people. Primordial number 4. Yeah, 4 of 5, 6. I don't know, whatever. This is Jeff Lemire and Andres Sorrentino again, who also was back there at the Batman the Imposter. This is monkeys in space and a dog in space. It's the the Russian cosmonaut dog Laika. And then Abel and Mrs. I can't remember the monkeys' names from the U.S. that were shot up. And this is sort of an alternate history. If they were found by a fifth-dimensional alien being and brought to intelligence, sort of, kind of. And then the people on Earth that are still trying to figure out where these animals are, and they send a signal out. And yeah, trade weight this. It'll make much more sense in a trade. It is gorgeous. It is like there's not a ton of story here though. If anything's holding it back from being like higher on the list, it's just kind of like this is about a 2-minute read, really. I mean, you could go back and savor it and really relish in the artwork, but there's just every issue of this has been kind of like a flip, 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 flip. Oh, you're done. Okay. It is good. It's Jeff Lemire. It's not going to be a disappointment. It's just kind of it's gonna connect all that. I'm hoping the dots all connect at the end, and I'm hoping it sticks the landing because I think we're getting close to the ending of it, and there's not a whole lot left to go on this one, so we'll see. But I did still really like this. It is gorgeous. It is sort of Lemire starting to play around with the format of comics a bit, which he's doing a little bit more in, I think, a slightly better comic that's a little bit further down this list. But Lemire's at the top of this game writing-wise, and Andre Sorrentino is brilliant as an artist. So you put those two together, and you get this, which is a solid issue of this. All right, speaking of solid and consistency, and books that have been like entertaining all the way along, we have Strange Academy number 14. Scotty Young, Humberto Ramos. This is Marvel's best ongoing title, and it's not really close. I mean, the new Moon Knight has potential to be a decent one, but this from all the books I'm reading, which is not a lot of Marvel anymore. You can see there's like I think this is my only Marvel. Yeah, it's my only Marvel on the list this week. But this has been great. It's the magic kids learning magic and being teenagers and shenanigans and time travel in this issue. So there's a cautionary tale. It progresses the plot forward. You learn more about the heartbreak of the main character, and each character feels like their own unique creation. DC's been trying this with Teen Titans Academy, which I think is hot goddamn garbage. Like it feels forced, and the characters don't feel real. These characters, even though they're all fantastical and all um, feel all obviously fictional, they just feel like lived in. They feel relatable, and like they're all unique, and they all you can get their voice very quickly. Like Scotty Young's very good at setting up these individual voices of each of these characters, and it doesn't feel, at least to me, like a grown up trying to capture high school, which are like a lot of the other books that have been trying to do this do. This sort of feels like a Harry Potter title to me, and I know Harry Potter's troublesome, and I get that, but like the voices of the characters in Harry Potter, this feels not necessarily maybe at quite at that level, but it feels like each character is its own being, and like it feels like a lived-in world in a good way. So, Strange Academy, been consistent all the way through. Another consistent issue. Pick it up. All right, we got 3 left, folks. Stick with me. Next, we have the Maze book number 4. This is Jeff Lemire playing with the format of comics. See, there, guys, I'm tying it back. Hakuna Matata. That's not how that goes, right? No, it's not at all. I never watched The Lion King. Maze book number 4. Lemire's doing the writing and the art on this one, and it's like the loose, sketchy style of his own, and it's this like melancholic and loss. And this guy who's like lost his daughter to cancer or a disease years ago, but is convinced that like she exists in this maze in the center of the city, and he's found his way into this maze, and now he's hunting. And then like what happens in here, you sort of start to learn what's going on a bit, and then like at the end there's a cliffhanger ending. There's only one or two. I think there's only one more issue of this, so I hope it wraps up well. I think it will. I have faith in Lemire. This one you can also probably trade weight at this point. But it's a gorgeous, in my estimation, I love Lemire's sketchy art and his very expressive, loose style and his playing around with comics. Like the comics sort of reads like a maze as you're wandering with this character through the maze, especially in the first half of the book. You have this format where like the panels are arranged in a maze, and even sometimes more subtly, like there's little connectors where you're not necessarily reading the panels in your traditional order. I'm not going to find a good example of that, but I mean I'm really enjoying this. I know it's not for everybody. I know some other people that have given up on this, and I get that, but I think it's got enough emotional resonance and enough heart to it that it's a very, in my estimation, a very effective comic, and I think it's probably going to end up being one of the better miniseries to come out 2021 or early 2022. So I'm quite enjoying it. All right, next we have 2 left, people. 2 left. Newburn, number 2 by Chip Zdarsky and Jacob Phillips. This is about the story of Newburn. He's a mob fixer, and everyone hates him. Like every mob, there's like a bunch of mob families. They all hate him. The civilians all hate him. Everyone who lives in like New York, they all hate him. They all know him though, and like he's untouchable because he's neutral and he's the bastard that like figures out inner mob squabbles and keeps things from blowing up and like just investigates things and fixes things and all this stuff. And then he's got this new assistant who I think is nameless. Actually, I don't know if they've given this character a name, but this is one where you can like, yeah, that could be a pretty darn good TV series, right? And Lemire, it's a very strong start to a Lemire series, or no, sorry, Zdarsky series. The thing is Zdarsky often has these very strong starts and then kind of fizzles, not necessarily down to nothing, but like Stillwater started very strong, and then it kind of just faded into goodness. Like not poor, but like he's very good at starting series, and I think this is a very good start. I'm curious to see where it goes. So far, like this is another self-contained for the most part issue. Like the first issue sets up the character, you learn about him. This issue continues it, and then it wraps up the thing that goes the main A plot, and then there's a B background where you're like kind of learning a little bit more as well. And yeah, honestly, I'm very very enjoyable. You probably can trade weight all of this as well, but I think you're gonna go for a good time. Like I really do. I like this one quite a bit. It came very close to making my pick of the week. The reason it didn't is because this is the one that just kind of grabbed me the most, and it is Robin and Batman number 2, which is a surprise to me. It's 2 of 3, which is also a surprise. I thought there'd be more issues to this. It's Jeff Lemire again. It's a very Jeff Lemire heavy week, and Dustin Nguyen, who did the art of Descender and Ascender, with the mirror, and it's a sketchy kind of watercolory art that I really like. And this is a jump forward in time a bit from the first issue, and it kind of like, well, not really. I mean, I think it's probably pretty close in time, but like this is this is the issue where you're like, what the, like you're like, oh, okay. At first it seems straightforward, and then at the end you're like, oh man, Batman's a dick. And I mean, that's not a new trope, right? Frank Miller's like played around in that playground for quite a bit. But I think this is probably a better version of it than the Batman like gold, whatever the where the weird ass one that Frank Miller wrote that is pretty well derided with like the yellow ring and everything. I can't remember what that's from, but I like his characterization of Robin in here, the Lemire's, and I love Lanigan's art, and I like the bastardly characterization of Batman. Like, he's not a nice father figure in this. Alfred is the father figure that Dick Grayson relates to, and for rightfully so. And there's sort of the machinations going on behind the scenes that are helping to form Robin into Robin. But you also see Robin's growth as a character in this, and like the Robin becoming kind of a bastard as well in a good way. It'll be very interesting to see how this wraps up, because like Robin has like traditionally been the counterpoint to Batman. Like Batman's the dark and evil, and Robin's the light and happy, and together they kind of form the Batman and Robin, or in this case, Robin and Batman. So it'll be interesting to see if that sticks the landing on this. But thus far, I like this one quite a bit, and it's my book of the week. I'd say pick it up. It was a surprise to me, at least, and it's a thick boy. Well, it's probably a $6-7 book. I don't know, but it's gorgeous. It's very well done. There you have it. And so, yeah, that's what I got, folks. What did you read this week? Anything good? Anything bad? Let me know. Do you like the fact that I'm taking a little more time to read this, or do you really want me to put videos out on Wednesday night? All right, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you want to help support the channel, you can buy merchandise at taylorwinder.com. Or, at the very least, subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment. Let me know you're watching. I thrive off the recognition, people. Not really. I just like the interaction with everybody. That's all I got. Let's see here. How do I always end this? Yeah. Don't be a dick. Even if you're mostly happy with life, and well, that makes sense. If you're happy, you're probably not gonna be a dick, right? I don't know. Don't dick. Be happy. That's a bad way to end it. But we're gonna go with it. See ya.